Hey guys, so nice job finding this video. What I want you to do is to turn to the page in your science notebook on the IP side that's titled Cooperative Learning Teams, Rules and Roles. So in science, we do a lot of activities together where we cooperate together, we collaborate, we put our ideas together to accomplish a task, solve a problem, do an activity, or a lab. The problem comes sometimes when we're working in groups when people don't agree or not everybody's doing the work and somebody ends up doing all of the work, and that can create some problems when working in teams. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to establish some rules, and everybody's going to have a role to play within their cooperative learning team so that we can try to minimize some of these issues that come up when working with a group of people that aren't necessarily your best friends, but we still need to learn how to work respectfully and well together. So there's 4 rules that we're going to cover that applies to everybody whenever we're working with our cooperative learning teams. I want you to fill in the blanks and highlight the spaces where we're talking about now. At the top of your page, please fill this in underneath the first bullet point. The first rule of our cooperative learning team is that you may only speak to those people in your team. When you're working in a team, I want you staying with your team and working with them only. Everyone needs to stay on task. Everything that you're talking about must be related to the assignment. You also need to stay in your seat. There is one person who's going to be allowed out of their seat without permission whenever we're working in our teams, and that's a person called the lab tech, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But everyone, no matter what their role is, records data, answers the questions correctly, and everybody works. The first job, or the first role, is the facilitator. The facilitator is kind of like the team leader. The first job of the facilitator is to get the team working immediately. When I say, all right guys, time to get started, the facilitator is the person who says, all right guys, come on, get your stuff out, let's get going. The team leader, the facilitator, is also the person that makes sure everybody's doing the work correctly. They read questions aloud to the group. So if you've got something you're going through or an article you're reading, questions you're asking, they're the person who reads that out loud to the group and monitors everyone's progress, making sure everybody's working at the same pace. The facilitator is the person who says, all right, we're done with number 2. Are you done with number 2? Are you done with number 2? Great, everyone's done. We can all move on to number 3. The facilitator makes sure everyone is working equally. And since this person is a team leader, if there's ever an issue in the group that you guys can't work out together, like one person is not doing their job, they're not listening, they are not working together, or people are kind of like fighting and not agreeing and they can't figure it out, it's the facilitator's job to come and talk to me and say, hey, Ms. Bogenwright, can I talk to you after class? These 2 people aren't working really well, or this person, it just is not working. It's your job, facilitator, to come and talk to me if there's a problem or an issue within the group. The next role is the job of the communicator. This job is very important because when we're working in cooperative learning teams, it's the only person who's allowed to talk to me. They make sure that questions are heard by everyone in the team. They communicate with the teacher by saying, my team doesn't know, or my team doesn't understand, or my team wants to know. The reason why the communicator can only ask me a question in this way is because I want to make sure that you try to work it out together first before you came to me. The communicator also repeats directions back to the team. Sometimes I will give a direction only to the communicator, and it's the communicator's job to tell everybody else in the team what I've said. The communicator makes sure that the work is correct so that I can check everybody's work and check for accuracy, and then relay correct and incorrect answers back to the team after the work is being checked. So for example, if everyone's working together, everybody should have the same answers and the same work. I come by and I check the communicator's work only. The communicator's job will then tell everybody else, okay, we got number 1 right, we got number 2 right, oh, but we missed number 3. The communicator will relay correct and incorrect answers back to the team after I check their work. The third role is the job of the academic supervisor. The academic supervisor's job is to keep track of time. Hey guys, we've only got 15 minutes. Hey guys, we've only got 10 minutes. Your job is to keep track of the time. But also make sure that everybody understands what's going on. And if the team doesn't understand something or doesn't know an answer to something, and you need to look it up somewhere, it's the academic supervisor's job to find or reference the information in a notebook, in a textbook, online, your job to look something up. Here's the most important job of the academic supervisor. It's the job of reviewing and studying verbal assessment questions with the team. So whenever we're doing cooperative learning, I will have a set of questions up on the screen. I will come by and ask randomly somebody on the team any one of the questions, and you don't know which one. If one person on the team cannot answer my questions, nobody gets their work signed off, which means nobody gets credit. So it's your job, academic supervisor, to work together to make sure that everybody knows the verbal, meaning we just talk, assessment, which means I'm checking for understanding, and everybody knows the answers to the questions that I'll put up on the screen. And if you're able to help people, tutor people on your team that need help. The last role when working in a cooperative learning team is the role of the lab technician, or like I said earlier, the lab tech for short. It's the lab tech's job to get any materials needed for an activity or a lab. It's the lab tech's job to keep the basket on your desk filled with supplies at all times. So if you're ever short on highlighters or you ran out of tape, it's the lab tech's job to then go to the back of the room in the workstation, find the drawer labeled highlighters, tape, glue, whatever, and make sure that the materials basket is always filled with supplies. It's their job to keep the materials basket and the table organized. Then at the end of the period, make sure that all materials are returned to the basket. Because if I come to a table and I find that highlighters are missing, glue sticks are missing, glue bottles have been left open, I'm going to come and talk to you, lab tech, because you are not doing your job. Now, lab tech, if you ever come into the classroom and you realize the previous lab tech didn't do their job, it's your job to write a note to the previous class's lab tech if your materials bag is not organized when you find it when you first come into class. Now, the lab tech is in charge of making sure everything gets cleaned up every day, but the lab tech is not your mom. The lab tech is not supposed to clean up after you. They're just supposed to make sure that you clean up after yourself. These are the 4 roles of the people who are working in teams when we're working with our cooperative learning teams.